Probably the biggest thing is momentum. And what I mean is, by momentum, you've got to get wins. Success begets success. And if you can win in the small things, it makes it a lot easier to win in the larger things too. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have to sign that 100K deal, but I'm telling you, like, wake up at 10 a.m., tick. You know what I mean? I went to gym, tick. I ate healthy today, tick. You can do that small type of thing. I read 10 pages, whatever. And you start to build that success. So when you go into business and work, you're already in the mindset of winning. And it makes it a lot easier to maintain momentum and continue that type of stuff. Whereas if you're super harsh on yourself and like constantly like, I didn't do that, I didn't do that, I didn't do that.
I wanted to switch the conversation to sales, since you are into the sales industry. And I wanted to do two perspectives. First, from someone that is getting into sales, and what advice would you give to them? And then more of a business which you already have, closer, setter, and so on. How can they scale with sales processes and so on? So yeah, let's start from someone that would like to get in sales, starting from scratch. What would you give to them as an advice?
It isn't actually an actionable thing, it's more of a mindset thing, is because I think when most people think of sales, I don't know about them, but personally, when I first got into sales, I was thinking Jordan Belfort, like scammy, kind of using manipulation tactics, and really what it is being able to communicate yourself properly, communicate value, being able to connect with people, and just demonstrate that you're a competent person, right? So the first thing is just change your mindset about sales. It's like a foundational skill that you have to have, whether it's Laura Piano, Gucci, or whatever. The CEOs of that are really, really good at sales. They're really good at selling themselves. They might not necessarily being like, hey, buy this product, but they're selling themselves, their value to shareholders, to other companies, whatever it is, they're using that. And essentially it's just conveying value. So the first thing is you need sales as a foundational skill. It's not something that's kind of like, oh, I'll do marketing and then I'll also pick up sales. Like, no, you need sales as like the baseline, because no matter who you're talking to, whether it's networking, whether it's selling a product, it's essentially sales. So the first thing is just change that, make sure it's something that you know you need to have. Me personally, I don't like actually selling. I find it uncomfortable, I find it kind of weird, and even still you need it as a skill. And when I was first starting out, I was like, I hated doing it over and over and over. It's like, I have to sell this product, I have to, they're gonna buy this. It doesn't really I feel like I'm kind of manipulating them a little bit. But as you get better, you just realize that it's just demonstrating value. And no matter what industry you choose to pick, if you're good at sales, you'll find a way to do that. Because when you look at sales, the way that they look at it, right? When you're doing closing, setting, whatever, you look at it percentage-wise. Right, so if you're closing at a 7% rate, that tells you have a problem. And then you can look at your close percentage. Is it the scripting? Is it the marketing? Is it the funnel? Is it the way that you do your paid ads? And there's a lot of things that you can optimize there. So say, for example, even though I've never done properly e-commerce, if I got onto there and a landing page had a conversion rate of 3%, I would look at it and go, okay, cool. How do we get the close rate up? Are we not communicating the value good enough? Who do we need to talk to? What can we optimize on the sales at the front end? Is it back end? Is it the automations? Is it the paid ads advertising? It just gives you a kind of like a baseline step to kind of improve things and just be good at any type of business.
Yeah. And do you think even for people that are not into business, still learning about sales can benefit them on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, business is just sales. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what business you pick, just be good at sales and you'll be good at everything. You know what I mean? And that might be like a bit of a big kind of promise to make, but really, like, it just gives you such a good baseline. If you were to pick marketing, it's great, but it's not going to give you the same type of skill set that you would to pick any type of business and still have a good idea how to kick it off. 100%. If you were doing trading, if you were doing agency, if you're doing info, whatever it is you want to pick, if you're just good at sales, it'll make it so much easier. And that's coming from personally someone who hates selling stuff, but naturally had to become good at it because that's just necessary to be good at any type of part.
I was speaking actually to one of my friends the other day, and he's a trader, and he was like, yeah, I'm a trader, I'll never need to sell myself whatsoever. Then I was telling him, yeah, sure, but there's gonna be a point where you're gonna need investors or people that are gonna fund you. Yeah. How do you get these people? If you're good at communication, if you're good at selling yourself, then you're gonna get these people easily. Yeah. So even though for businesses that are not directly, specifically correlated to sales, you still benefit from it, right?
Yeah, and it's honestly kind of magical in a way, because when, say for example, a salesperson in a meeting like that, if you're trying to pitch yourself to investors, the person that knows sales and the person that doesn't is at such a disadvantage on what happened. And like, you think it's just people are talking and they're kind of going back and forth, but when you think about it, the person that is into sales is thinking, this is the discovery phase, this is the transition phase, these are the discovery questions I need to ask, these are the implication questions that's going to make it easier for me to call back if he gives me an objection at the end of the call, that he doesn't want to do this. Well, at the start of the call, you told me that if you don't do this, your business is going to lose 30% year over year. And then it's like, you can call back. And now this person feels like a liar because they just told you that they're going to lose 30%, but it's like, dude, like, I'm a little bit confused. Like, at the start of the call, you told me that you're going to lose 30% if you don't do something to address this. And then he's like, oh, yeah, okay. You know, and it doesn't seem like anything that's so different, but once you have those structures, it makes a lot of communication a lot easier as well to kind of use to your advantage.
100%. Guys, do we have a pen here? I wanted to do the sell me this pen. Abbiamo una penna? All right. Since we're talking about sales, and I've seen this everywhere, but I want to know, how would you sell me this pen?
Okay, cool. So tell me, like, why are you even looking for a pen in the first place?
Because I do a lot of meetings and I need to sign a lot of contracts, and when I go to network, I need to actually have a good pen to have a good impression on these people. Okay. So I don't want to just go there with the random pen that I bought from a local shop. I want the proper pen.
Well, let's just say, for example, you came in with a big 50-cent one and it breaks in the room with the meeting. What happens then? Like, is it that big of a deal?
No.
To the investor? No. You're signing contracts with and your pen breaks? It's not a big deal?
Sorry, say it again. I didn't.
Say, for example, you're in a big boardroom. Yeah. You're selling a deal. You're about to sign the contract, yeah. And you hand him a 50-cent plastic pen that's, you know, got bits leaking, the ink's halfway down. How much of an impact is it going to have on you?
As an impression on them.
An impression on you?
On me, yeah. It's going to be a big impact.
Okay. And what's the typical size of your deals?
Anywhere from 50 to 100,000.
So the difference between a 50-cent pen and a $100 pen is what's going to make or break, potentially, a deal worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. Okay, cool. Where do you want to go from here?
It's already sold.
I didn't sell the pen. I just asked you what's the implication of this pen. And that's most of what it is. It's just asking, getting the understanding of what the situation is. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not, buy this pen, it's got a really nice black ivory finish, it's gold, it looks fancy. It's like, no one cares about that type of stuff. It's the impact that it has on you.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of time, I have two closers that works with me, and most of the sales calls are about asking the right question. Yeah. Because once the client exposes themselves, yeah. Then you have just such an advantage where they've basically told you everything. Yeah. And right now they have the cards. We have a saying in Italy: you have your cards discovered on the table. Yeah. And you're just there to close the deal, that's it. But
also, what do you expect of a salesperson? When you think of a typical salesperson, you're thinking, this guy is going to do 80 to 90% of the talking. He's going to be trying to convince me the whole time that I have to buy this thing that I don't want to buy. And he's going to be pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. But when you come in with the framework, it's like, let me just understand a little bit about your situation. Just tell me. Like, when you're talking to a friend like that, your conversation isn't 90% you just trying to tell them what to do. They're not going to do what you want them to do. You just need to ask and understand their situation. And when people hop onto a call and they just see you asking questions, trying to actually understand the situation, which it is, if you genuinely care too, it comes across with way more conviction, and people trust, that builds trust, right? You're essentially taking the time to understand them. That, like we're talking about the value of time, is the value of your word too, because if you only need to speak 20% of the call, but you're asking really good questions, you're guiding the direction of the conversation, it makes it so much easier for them to respect what you're saying.
It's the same thing when I had this experience with a guy in Warsaw. We was like 10 guys. We went to a meeting. There was this guy that didn't really speak much during the meeting. But then at the end, he started talking for like a couple of minutes and everybody was listening to him. Yeah. Everybody. The guys that was talking for the entire meeting, because you already know if someone talks a lot that they're bullshit.
Yeah, and like even when you go to the networking events, like it sounds a bit bad, but when you go to those networking events, the first guy that's just talking about, oh, I do this, I make this much money, instantly you're like, that's the guy that's just like, don't worry. He's just the guy that's just telling everyone this type of stuff. And yeah, they might have made a bit of money once, but usually they're saying, I make 120K a month, means I made 120K once with the business. That was revenue, not profit, pre-tax. And it's like, dude, okay, like the implication of that is just you're selling everyone in this reputation of 120K, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is you did that once and you're not even being truthful about the reality of business. And that's kind of the implication too when you see, we were talking about lifestyle before, right? To sell this type of stuff, you have to sell lifestyle. And it's a little bit disingenuous too, because I don't think it shows people the true reality of running a business. On Instagram, it looks really cool to be posting stuff in front of Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and it looks great, and don't get me wrong, we do that stuff. But I don't know about you, but personally, 95% of my time is spent in front of a desk working for 14 hours a day.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you work mainly with B2B, right?
Yeah.
So it's when I was selling basically trading services, I was mainly targeting people that was basically trying to find the new thing. You know, maybe they've tried a lot of businesses, but at the same time, me coming from a trading world before, I knew I knew that it was wrong, because this wasn't the thing. This wasn't the reality. Even a trader is not gonna travel 20
the schedule
every month, and a really successful trader, stay at the desk 90% of the time. And what you see on Instagram most of the time is just bullshit.
But this is the difference. If you weren't in sales and if you were in sales, say for example you genuinely cared about changing people's lives, giving them freedom to do that. Say, in this example, right? The reason that justifies you doing that life type stuff is if you have the conviction in your product, it makes sense to push the lifestyle because you know it's going to make an impact and difference on people's lives. It's enough to get them in the door, and then once they're in the door, you can use that to be truthful. And a lot of I think the difference between a good sales process and a bad sales process, at least on the closing call, is that the top offers, especially in the info space, don't actually sell so hard, but they push away, right? Because once you have that reputation, they see you already as an authority, and if you can push them away and be like, no, it's actually not as easy as you think. To be honest, like not everyone succeeds with this type of stuff. It takes like a different level of mental grit. And then the customer's thinking, no, I have that grit. I can push back. I can work hard. And then they do the selling for them. They don't have to sell anything. They're just pushing them back the whole time. Like, no, honestly, this is quite a hard industry to get into. You have to spend a good 10 hours a week researching charts. Is that something you're even willing to do? Most people aren't. It's like, no, I could do that. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. They're not just trying to be like, buy my product, that type of thing.
Yeah, because they don't want to be like another average person. They want to be
I feel like it's their decision too.
100%. Awesome. I had something in mind. I forgot. Or if there's something you want to talk about.
I would just say, I think, one, I'd like to know a little bit about your story, how you got into it, and then just addressing how to actually get started in this type of thing. Because it's really good to talk about business when you're 2, 3, 4, 5 years deep, but your level there is not the same as someone who's just starting at step 1. And when you see this gap the whole time, you see them at level 5 and you think, oh, okay, that's cool. But they're at level 0. It's like, how do we connect the bridge?
Yeah, so basically, everything started for me in Canada. I did an exchange student experience there in Montreal when I was 17, and I was really big on skateboard. For my entire life, I was a skateboard. Big, like long hair, completely different look compared to right now. And I was really skinny, and then I had the opportunity, of course my family supported me, and I had the opportunity to go to Canada to study for 1 year on the 4th year of my high school here in Italy. And when I was there, I just got exposed to this different way of thinking. Like everyone was making money. Even if there was like 16, 17, they were already making, let's say, 2 to 3K a month, which compared to Italy was completely different. Here in Italy, you start working at 19, 20, 21. There's people that study till 25 and then they start working.
Crazy.
That's crazy. And so I had this push where I was always scrolling on social media. I was spending so much time on social media, so I connected the two things, and then I started a page for trading, for skateboarding, and I grew that to 60,000 followers.
Damn.
At 17 years old, and back in the day there was no restriction on Instagram, so I was doing the entire day follow this strategy. I was literally spending 4 hours a day just doing this. And then came back to Italy. I went from the stars to the farm again. We have this saying in Italy. And kept going with the page. I was selling basically shout out to traders. So if you was a skater, if you was a skater and you wanted some more exposure on social media, you would come to me, and then we would do real collaboration, story, promo, all of these kind of things. I wasn't making crazy money, but I was making like 1K a month from that, which was great. Then I finished high school. I got introduced to basically sell for a company here in Italy. I started doing this, and I did that for 8 months. After that, I discovered trading, I traded for basically 2.5 years. And then from there, I went into the info space of trading.
Yep.
So I've managed a couple of brands in the trading niche.
Yep.
And then I started my personal brand. And it was just like a natural shift for me, because after I started trading, I was always exposed, even before, like with the team page, I was always exposed to Instagram personal brands and these kind of things. Then in the meantime, I joined a few networks for networking. I was about to join the War Room, Andrew Tate, but then I found I met his ex-sales manager.
I think I know who you're talking about,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can we say that?
Let's keep it off there.
All right, perfect. I joined his network, met a lot of people, then I joined other network and so on. Of course, at the beginning I was like really excited. It was like a new thing for me. But then I joined a few other networks. I joined one specific networks. I was really discouraged because it was full of kids.
Yeah.
Because I think when you build a network, if you just care about the money, you just let everyone in.
Yeah.
And then when you go to these events, it's like, what the fuck am I getting into it?
Terrible.
So right now, basically, I've came to a new project that we're about to launch. In the past months, I've basically managed a few brands, always in the trading niche. But I want to actually detach myself not just from one niche, but going actually in more niches, because I know that my system works for trading, but also for other things.
The sales process or the
more of
product?
the personal brands, and for the sales process, we work with an agency that provides the sales reps to us. Yep. And so right now, I just basically mixed everything together. So first thing first, we wanted to start a community, a network of like-minded people, and then I've mixed this with personal brands. So right now, what we have is a program where you come in, we guide you from A to Z on your personal brands. It's not just about getting views, but it's about getting the right audience and monetize your brand. And also we have a unique way of getting the content done, which is through events. Okay. So basically, when it comes to the community, we have a school community and we have a Telegram community. Telegram community is more for the chat. School community is more for the courses community and so on. Okay. But then the events part, it's where everything happens. So basically, you come to the events. Before the events, we do a call together and we kind of organize the entire content for you. Once you come to the events, there's different activities. Right now we are planning an event in the French Alps, in a chalet where we're going to bring 10 people. We're going to bring 2 cameramen. We're going to basically film the entire trip for them.
That's sick.
And then we're going to have a podcast studio like this one with a window, and in the background there's going to be just content. So people come there, they enjoy the network, they make content. Once they come back home, we deliver to them 50 to 100 reels already edited, so they can either start their personal brand or they can just keep going but doing better.
That's sick. That's a really good idea, because I think, do you know who Peter Thiel is?
Who?
Peter Thiel. He was the original founder or co-founder of PayPal. But he wrote a book and it's called 0 to 1. And really it's getting competitive advantage. He's basically saying start a new market instead of an existing market, which is kind of contrary to our advice. If you're going to do like an amazing startup, sure. But the lesson that stuck with me from that is that, like, for most people, it's not actually getting from 1 to 5. It's pretty clear at that point, like kind of what you're doing. Once you find that initial traction, it kind of influences the steps you're going to take next. But that first jump from 0 to 1 is like the hardest part you're ever going to have in business. And most people get lost because they don't get that initial traction. They give it up. It's like, dude, if you just stuck with that for just a little bit longer, just got to that 1. From there, everything else becomes so much clearer. Yeah. Like we were talking about with the e-commerce landing page. Once you at least get to a point of 3% conversion, you can optimize 3%, but you can't optimize 0%. It's kind of just like you don't have enough feedback. So once you just get that initial feedback, it's like, okay, from there, the next steps are kind of clear.
100%. And I think a lot of people, I wanted to do this example where people study for 20 years and they are consistent in that. They are not getting paid. They're studying things that they don't like, but when they start a business, they can't even start for 1 year without getting paid. Yeah. Because we live in a world with instant gratification. Social media, you basically start, you go on Instagram, you have everything there. You can order food, you have this, you have that. But with business, you need to detach from having this, instant gratification, instant results, which is hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, delayed gratification is like a huge lesson that you'll have, because it makes you super reactive And if you just want that instant feedback, like it doesn't work like that. I'm telling you, man, the lifestyle looks great, but that's like 1% of the life. Like 90% of it is grinding, making no money. Like honestly, most of it, I don't know about you personally, but literally when I first started in business, I moved to Italy, Milan 2 years ago. The first 6 months, I was working probably about 16 hours a day, and I didn't make a cent. And that whole time I was just like, I'm gonna make it work, I'm gonna make it work, I'm gonna make it work. I had a level of savings, and I got to a point, so I had a certain amount of savings, and I got down to the point. First off, a ticket to Australia is about $2,000, let's say.
Okay.
When I got down to that point in my bank account, I was like, oh, I got rent to pay. A ticket to Australia is $2,000. If I don't take a ticket back, I'm probably gonna risk being homeless in a foreign country where I didn't speak the language, I didn't know anyone, I didn't know like anything organized. And I was like, no, I'm gonna keep going. And I got down to a point, it was literally 200 euros, I think it was 120 exactly, in my bank account. And that was the month where I first made my first like big payment. And then all of a sudden, in that 6 months time, it was just like boom. And that was like about, I think it was 15 grand that month. And I was like, oh my God, it's possible. But 90% of people would not have done that first 6 months for free just to be able to learn or get the skills and type of stuff to really take that step. And it's like you gotta have that like level, you gotta create that level of delusion in your life where it's like, no, it's possible, it's possible, it's possible, it's possible. And then once you delay it enough, it's like, you get that one thing, it's like, okay, that's the one.
And once you start getting the first feedback, then it's just...
And it's like, yeah, now you know where to go from there.
And then you just go.
Exactly, yeah.
Since you said you was working 16 hours a day, right now, how many hours do you work usually in a day?
So I work on the American time zone. So in Italy, I usually wake up 10 a.m. most days. I'll go gym, go around the city, whatever, I'll get some lunch. I'll usually start working or taking meetings from 1 p.m. and I'll probably finish at 3 a.m. most nights. 3 a.m. right now.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
can you walk us through actually like your routines? Like you wake up, you said you go to the gym. Do you have like any morning routines or?
Yeah, I mean like, if you're just starting in business, I actually wouldn't recommend doing some crazy 2 hour, 3 hour cold plunge, sauna, all this type of shit. Like, it's great and everything once you have a really good lifestyle, but you're genuinely just wasting 3 hours a morning where you could be just working. Yep. And if you don't have that initial kind of traction in your business, it's mostly a waste of time. For me, I literally get anxiety if I wake up and I don't like clear off some tasks or something in the morning and I just go to gym and then come back, I'm just like, there's something missing, or did I check this, or this emergency happened overnight or whatever. But I personally like to wake up, just clear off the first initial task, enough to at least clear your inbox or something so you're not thinking about it the whole time. Then take that time off, do gym, do sauna and all that type of stuff. But I wouldn't say it's a necessary thing to get business. If you're just trying to get started in business, just do that. Just be obsessed for the first, however long it takes. Once you get that traction, then you can start optimizing this, being a bit more healthy, going to nice gyms and that type of thing.
Yeah. So would you say even if you're starting, don't go to the gym, or maybe?
100% go to the gym. Stay fit. Okay. You still need that break. But I'm saying when you first start your morning, especially if you're obsessed with it, spending 4 hours of your morning trying to meditate, read for 30 minutes, like you're taking away from your mental bandwidth. It's just like a waste of your energy at that point when you can use that first level of decisions and kind of like energy that you have and put it towards something that's going to like push you forward. And then it's like, yeah, okay, push you forward for that first couple of hours, get the things done, then you can take a break and go to gym and that type of thing. But if you start your day there, a lot of the time you're kind of just losing a lot of that initial momentum, personally.
This is a good advice because I feel a lot of people, especially when they start right now in 2024, 2025, there's just too much bullshit online where there's these, self-improvement guys, they say, go spend 2 hours in the sauna, do this, do that, do this, do that. When in reality, it's just get to work, that's it.
Yeah, just work. Just work. It's that simple. It's not glamorous, but it's simple. Yeah. There was one of my mentors told me, is like, business is simple but not easy, and people overcomplicate it with all this type of stuff. You see people like, do you know Brian Johnson, that guy who's trying to live to whatever? That's amazing. That's a cool scientific development. But this dude spends 6 hours a day optimize, sauna, meditate, read, do all this type of shit. It's like, dude, when do you work on that business? And the thing is, it's actually facade because he exited all his businesses and then started doing it. Yeah. It wasn't while he was growing the startup that he was having this 6 hour complex morning routine. He was just working. He was just selling.
It was probably unhealthy before.
Yeah, 100%. You got to have that like level of imbalance too. So one of the things in Peter Thiel, I think it's Peter Thiel's book, but he was talking about balance is an illusion, and a lot of people, they want to, like we were talking about, comfort's the enemy. So you don't want to be to a level of like extreme discomfort, but you have to intentionally unbalance your life for stages. So you might spend 2 months where you just work for 16 hours a day. Maybe you don't work out as much, but that gets you so much further. And then you come back to it, maybe you realign, get a bit more healthy, and then you can go down that path. But like, you need to intentionally take away those normal habitual stuff that you're gonna go through to start making actual progress. It has to be different. I'm telling you, like Edison, Tesla, even Musk, do you think that dude has like a regular schedule? He's just working. He's just doing
Elon
like...
Musk, I think he doesn't even sleep.
Yeah, he's just working all the time. There's no balance. It's like 99% of his time is just work.
That's insane. That's insane. Okay, since I think we've got 45 minutes, I think 1 hour of recording, I wanted to finish this podcast with this one last question. If you would go back to your 19, 20 years old self, would you do the same thing first, and what advice would you give to yourself?
Okay, so probably the biggest thing is momentum. And I hope this isn't like a constraint to one simple sentence, but like get momentum. And what I mean is, by momentum, you've got to get wins. And to get wins, like I'm telling you, just like Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot, where he's like, if you just have a momentum of winning, it's a lot easier to continue winning. Like success begets success. And if you can win in the small things, it makes it a lot easier to win in the larger things too. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have to sign that 100K deal, but I'm telling you, like wake up at 10 a.m., tick. You know what I mean? I went to gym, tick. I ate healthy today, tick. You can do that small type of thing. I read 10 pages, whatever. And you start to build that success. So when you go into business and work, you're already in the mindset of winning. And it makes it a lot easier to maintain momentum and continue that type of stuff. Whereas if you're super harsh on yourself and like constantly like, I didn't do that, you're constantly thinking in a loser's mindset, and it makes it really hard to get momentum. So get that initial first step, and then just keep trying to push yourself to win in your mindset, and it makes it a lot easier. Like everything becomes clear once you get that first little step. Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast the other day. I don't remember exactly who said that, but he was saying basically, and which is actually true, you win, let's say 1 hour, okay, and you win enough hour, you win a day. Yeah. You win 1 day, you win enough day, you win a week. Yeah. And then he was saying this till like 10 years, 20 years, and so on, because it all starts with what you have right now and what you're doing right now, because you can't control the future and you cannot change the past. Yeah. Right. All right. So if you've got some value from this video, make sure to like, follow the Instagram, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.